Inception is the most high-concept mainstream blockbuster this side of the second millennium. An exposition-heavy, reality-distorting heist flick filled with woe-inducing set pieces, that's-so-cool moments, and Hans Zimmer bombs. For today's video, however, we're going to go one level deeper than that slick exterior to talk about its oft-overlooked sentimentality. Inception's plot revolves around Robert Fisher, a wealthy businessman on the verge of inheriting a massive corporation when his ailing father passes. A rival CEO, Sato, hires protagonist Cobb and his subconscious navigating team to go into Fisher's mind to perform Inception, specifically to give him the idea to break up this imminent empire. Now clearly, will Rich Guy 1 make Rich Guy 2 less rich does not inherently make terribly engaging stakes for a thriller. Fortunately, Inception acknowledges and overcomes this. To start, neither Sato nor Fisher are the film's villain, and as a crucial first step towards making the Pinwheel resonate, Fisher is consistently painted in a sympathetic light.
I put it beside his bed. He hasn't even noticed.
The true secret of Inception's dramatic success, however, is how it uses its unique premise to reframe its central heist as an emotional journey rather than an objective-based one by making the objective emotional. It becomes clear as planning begins that this mission won't be as simple as stealing an item, and neither will the movie. In fact, Tom Hardy's character Eames simultaneously establishes this as the approach of his team and the film overall in his very first scene.
What you have to do is start at the absolute basic.
Which is what?
The relationship with the father.
This mindset transforms the movie entirely. Where there are usually blueprints and gadgets, there's instead light psychological analysis. It turns the planning montage into a character study, and this only continues as the heist gets underway. Cobb's team isn't sneaking around or pulling off elaborate stunts, well, not intentionally anyway. They're talking to Fisher and learning about his distant, seemingly disapproving father while repeatedly coming across the same photograph of the father and son with a pinwheel. This conspicuously concise crash course on Fisher's both junior and senior is actually all we get to prepare for the pinwheel. Relatively little screen time is spent on the actual details of the relationship, and Fisher Sr. isn't even lucid for the single interaction we see between the two. This lack of specificity doesn't detract from the pinwheel, however, for reasons we will come back to. Oh, and quick side note, throughout Inception, Cobb is dealing with the guilt of having accidentally caused his wife's death. It's the main arc of the protagonist, causes frequent problems during the mission, and gives birth to the film's villain, Maul, a subconscious manifestation of this guilt. Why do I bring this clearly fundamental aspect of the story up out of nowhere? We'll come back to that too. While on the subject of Cobb, though, it is interesting to note that he is not present for the pinwheel, the resolution of his heist, as he's mentally elsewhere at that time, wrapping up his individual arc. This is only a problem in theory, though, as Cobb's actions have just directly allowed Fisher to reach this endpoint. Really, only a member of the team needs to be there since this is an ensemble film, and Eames is the perfect choice. He's the one who brought in the father-centric perspective, saw for himself Fisher's struggle and cannily discussed it with him in disguise, and found the pinwheel photograph. He's the one most invested in the craftsmanship of his work.
It's a shame. I really wanted to know what's going to happen in that. I swear we have this one.
As well as Fisher as a person.
We repair his relationship with his father whilst exposing his godfather's true nature. We should charge Fisher a lot more than Saito for this job.
So it's right that he's the one there to witness the team's success and Fisher's absolution firsthand. This success is confirmed through a terrific fake-out. When Fisher opens the safe at his father's bedside, we see the previously established fictitious alternate will that would dissolve the Empire. So great. Mission accomplished. Except, not only would that be a terribly dull manifestation of the idea at best, literally just the idea written on a piece of paper, but we've been told over and over during the film that the goal of the mission isn't really the goal, the emotion behind the goal is the goal. And so, Fisher's subconscious doesn't just create a legal document, but something far more meaningful. Crucially, what Fisher needs to see in the safe is motivated by positive emotion, not negative. As enjoyable as it can be to see a ragtag group of thieves stick it to some rich jerk, Inception is a heist film that strikes a stronger chord by going for the sentimental angle, for prioritizing reconciliation over revenge. As Cobb says,
positive emotion trumps negative emotion every time.
This is also why Inception didn't have to delve too far into Fisher's relationship for the pinwheel to land. This isn't a movie about dealing with a cold and distant father. Inception is a story about catharsis, and that is a theme very well explored throughout the film. That is a topic not only very applicable to Fisher's subplot once his father passes, but one explored at length through Cobb's film-long struggle with guilt. That central arc is so seemingly disconnected from Fisher's troubles that I had to just kinda shoehorn in a paragraph about it earlier, but in the end it's all about the same thing: release.
We had our time together. I have to let you go.
The weight of this main storyline informs and elevates the resolution of the subplot, despite their dissimilar circumstances. The two threads becoming thematically bound at the film's resolution, as both men find within this dreamscape and themselves the same ability to process their complicated grief and begin to move on. Many argue that Inception is about filmmaking, and while this ignores other prominent themes, the Pinwheel exemplifies the extent to which I agree with that reading. Stories are, after all, designed to give us some sort of closure by their end, and it doesn't matter if we know it's all an elaborate trick pulled by professionals. Unlike Inception, storytelling is relatively easy, as we're all inherently primed for these emotions. We all yearn for catharsis. As Fisher is deeply moved by his fake dream father and fake dream pinwheel, so too the audience is moved by a fictitious story played out by paid actors. It's a perfectly synchronized emotional kick and easily Inception's greatest moment. And of course, such a highlight just wouldn't be complete without some Hans Zimmer bombs. Thank you so much for watching Movie Making Moments. This video was one of 3 that I put up for the channel's launch. The other 2 are linked right over there and in the description. All likes, comments, social media shares are going to be genuinely appreciated, especially because I'm just starting out with this. You can follow me on Twitter @scaptiville, and of course you can subscribe if you want to see more. I plan to do one of these every other week, but I'll be back next Friday with a video on Terminator 2 Judgment Day, so I hope to see you then.